9 o'clock, 9:03 actually. We're here with Carol and Erin.
Hey.
How's it going?
Busy.
Yeah.
It's a busy
I see
time of
it's
year.
so nice and wet, you could actually do some prescribed burn without it becoming a forest fire.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of funny that we're like on opposite ends of the huge table.
You can get
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah, you can sit here. Dwayne's not here.
Oh, no. So, Erin, you want to start?
Sure. So Carol and I were just talking about some of the roads that are being affected by the high waters out kind of in the Sunrise area. So there's one, it's not actually a system road, but there's a mining claim behind it. We're calling it like the Smith Gulch Creek, and it's like where below the confluence of Smith and Meadow, and the water's just running right down the road. So we're trying to figure out what to do with that. I think it's a result of an undersized culvert that we're looking at. Ken Miller's the miner that's affected with it too, and I know he's been meeting with our hydrologist and whatnot. So I don't have any like real specific answers on what we're gonna do next because we're still looking at it. We're just on that yesterday, the day before.
Is this up Meadow Creek?
I think where they're referring to, Lori, is when you get to where the road forks, if you stay straight, and up there where that green farm gate is, right before
back
you
in there.
turn the corner up there, and that is, I've seen that the creek comes down that road in previous years. Maybe not as prolific as this year, but
So it's not on the main Meadow Creek Road, it's back behind, up in where he's mining up there.
Yep, exactly. And
I think that's where they're referring to.
yeah, and I can forge you some pictures too. I think they just came in. And then Fish Creek Road, milepost 14. We were working through the permitting so that Charter Limited could contract out the work to reroute that spot since it washed out. It actually kind of worked out timing wise, just expedited our as much as we could our process to reroute that thing. So we are, I think, waiting for our contracting officer to finish signing the agreement. So everything's in place. It should happen pretty soon. So I'll check in on Monday and see where we're at with that. But as soon as the waters go back down and the soils dry out a little bit more, we can get in there.
So this one in the picture here, that's the 14.
Yep.
And then so I thought that someone said that you had a problem other than the one you had planned work for.
Well, that's what I thought. When somebody first reported, they said milepost 12.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I.
Okay,
So luckily,
it is one and the same.
It's
Okay.
the same.
yeah, which is way more fortunate. And then we did have, through Schedule A, Kelly Johnston graded the rest of Fish Creek. And then you just said you finished Westport Fish too, right? Check on that. And then some of the other roads in the Sunrise area. And I think we just started our spring blading across the district too. That's kind of starting more on the east side and then moving west. Just kind of our yearly maintenance on that. And then the 9 Mile office basement flooded this morning. So again, still care about that. It's the groundwater table, so it just comes in through a drain in the basement. But
Is it cinder block or is it solid concrete?
it's solid concrete, yeah. So, and we tried plugging the drain, like literally putting a plug in there, and it worked for a little while, but
Oh, it's coming up through the drain
It
system.
overflowed,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it was seeping through the wall. It's
no,
coming-
we thought that too. So I don't know if it's easier or not that's going through the drain, but we'll see what we can do about that.
Pretty soon you'll have a geyser coming up.
So does that mean the toilets aren't flushing then too?
No, they're good,
Oh, they're
actually.
good.
Yeah, it's just there's a clay layer that's only a couple feet down, and so it's just, it's hard to break through that. So that's been my morning. And then I saw that we got Fish and Wildlife Service concurrence with Sunrise, so everything's good to move forward with that. Once we gather in all the comments and do the response to comments, I saw we got a comment from IFG too, right? Is that right, or was it Coalition?
I think it should come from the collaborative.
Yeah. Yesterday, a couple other handful of comments, nothing too surprising. And yeah, so we're on track to move forward with that one pretty soon. When does the comment period end?
Yesterday at midnight,
Okay,
so comments closed.
perfect.
I tried to get a hold of Pat this morning just to see how many we've received. I couldn't make sure.
Yeah. Other than that, like Rowan mentioned, we did some prescribed burning in Petty Creek on Tuesday. high elevation stuff with the helitorch, with support from Superior and Plains folks, which was really nice. Some of those units were actually like there's no people on the ground. It was just super high elevation, trying to open it back up for big game species. And we saw some full coral like rams up there in the
Wow.
area that we burned last year, which was really
Wow.
cool. So hopefully they'll get back in there for these soon too. It was actually a little bit wet for what we were hoping for. It didn't. It was okay, like kind of ground fire, but we were hoping to get a little bit more openings in there, but still not too bad. And I think that's going to be the last of our burning for the spring. It's starting to get too green up there. And I think that was it for me.
Okay, well, if you think of something, you can jump
Yeah.
in on what I want to do. From a recreation standpoint, we're getting our campgrounds ready. We expect to have them open on the 24th for everybody. And we have the Superior Outdoor School starts Monday at Savanac. So I think Dawn Bauer was in this morning. She'll be taking her groceries and things up this weekend, and that's their 50th year of outdoor education. So I think, according to Scott Kinney, they have probably some media will be covering their week up there, since it's kind of a 50th anniversary, kind of a neat thing for them. The 11 Miles to Paradise run that was scheduled for this Sunday has been canceled and rescheduled to June 24th, just because of the high water there at the trailhead at Ferry Landing by the 14-mile bridge. There just really wasn't a safe way to get, you just couldn't get people through the finish there. On June 9th, we have the 50-mile run that comes into St. Regis. And then on June 16th, we're going to host a kids fishing day at Savanac. We did one last year, it was really popular. And then on June 23rd is the 20th anniversary celebration of the Route of the Hiawatha. And I believe the commissioner, you folks as commissioners were invited to attend that.
Say that date again on the Hiawatha?
The 23rd, Roman.
And that'll take place up on at Taft, or?
At Taft there at the trailhead. And for those that are interested, they were going to do a ride of a bike ride that day. So there'll be a short ceremony at the trailhead, just maybe about a half hour, since there's no really seating or anything. And then there'll be a bike ride for those that want to ride the Hiawatha. And for those that don't, we'll probably take people on a little tour of the rail grade route of the Olympian down our way and look at some features there. So if you could let me know somewhere next week if you're planning on attending.
What time does that celebration start?
I think it's 9 o'clock, but I can get back with you on specific times. And from fire, we've ended up burning about 1,300 to 1,400 acres this spring, and been pretty successful with it. We have an engine down on the Tonto National Forest in Arizona. Probably be leaving that there for a while and just switching out crew people. And we have 3 folks in Florida on fire. On timber, as Erin was saying, smoked trout, which would be the first sale out of Sunrise. The road package has been completed with that. I signed it earlier in the week, and that went to back into the SO for final approval. Came out just a little bit higher on cost than I thought it might. It was $97,000, and I was thinking with a lot of the bare work that we've done in there that maybe that cost would be a little bit less. So I talked to Jared Koskela, our zone engineer, that helped prepare that package. And primarily the cost there was some reconstruction on some of those roads that haven't been opened or used in a long time. So if the SO thinks that that's too high, well then we might have to bring it back and do some rework on it. But we'll see what David thinks when he gets there. it was a little higher than I thought it would be. Let's see. So starting, IFG is going to be starting some road work on camouflage and green breen. That's a couple other sales that they have going. And also on Monday, Thompson River Lumber is going to have a pre-work for starting some of their road work up in the Barber and Cedar South sales. So a lot of activity getting ready to start. See, in our lands department, Bonneville Power still has some work. They got weathered out last year up in the Taft area, primarily just doing some road work and that sort of thing. I think all the fiber optic got completed, but they didn't get their road work completed and dressed back up before they got snowed out. We also have a parcel of private land has been sold way up in Ward Creek. And I think that's a 40-acre parcel. And we have those folks looking for access, so we're going to be, through our lands part, looking at what opportunities do we have. It's a kind of an Anilka parcel, so it's a lot of miles of road to get to it. And not real good access. They may have to build some kind of temporary road in there if they're going to look at year-round. I have not met with the landowner yet, but Robin Jamine has been in contact. And they at least want temporary access for this summer. On the mineral side, we can been meeting with claimants and expect to see some exploration work this summer up in Lost Creek and Big Flat areas, which will be a little bit challenging because that's a bull trout stream and a critical stream, but I think we can, both of the claimants there seem real interested in trying to do what we need to do, so I think we'll be okay there. On mushrooms, so far we've sold at the district there 102 commercial permits. And I think they've taken in getting close to $6,000 worth of for the commercial permits that they've sold. They've sold 49 camp permits and they've had 68 free use permits. And one of the things that this week, just the other day, Wednesday I think it was, our patrol captain came out and did an inspection of the Quartz campground, the loop there where the commercial camp is, and it was not very good.
In terms of the impacts from the commercial pickers, or just?
Yeah, there was a lot of sanitation issues in there.
Oh, really?
We had a plugged up septic, and so we got that unplugged. I think what was happening is they were flushing paper towels down and we had everything backed up. And so we got that unplugged and I asked our folks to close the flush units and order some porta potties in there before we have the whole septic system in a bad way. And the other thing is we were gonna have to ask Heather if they actually got it in there, put in a big roll-off dumpster in there. They had a lot of garbage and we couldn't keep up with just in the bear-proof garbage bins. We just couldn't keep up with it. So asking for a big 30-yard roll-off to be put in there that would be high, that bears probably couldn't get into. And then our patrol captain found there was a lot of food items that were just on the ground. And so he was going to meet with Sheriff Boone, and everybody was out of the camp obviously during the day, but there were a lot of food peelings and that sort of thing just on the ground, which we can't have, or we'll be getting bears in there. And so he was going to come back in the evening and talk to each site about food storage and tie a vehicle to the camp And then they will be doing some follow-up patrols, and if that isn't cleaned up, they're gonna start issuing citations for it. And I think he was gonna ask Sheriff Boone if they could just really make some extra patrols through there, and is looking at possibly going to the region and asking for an additional $5,000 to give to the sheriff's office to help for maybe some overtime or whatever has to be done to keep on top of that out there.
So I was just doing a quick tally, so it looks like we have across the forest, just below 552 total permits, and that includes personal use, like for use and charged, and then 302 commercial permits, but the majority were, you can kind of see where they're coming down. It's like Plains, Thompson Falls, Superior, and then Nye Mountain and Sealy, so I think they're going to be here more.
So that's kind of what I know right now, but it was messy, he said, so. And we haven't had a chance with my folks, everybody's been busy with project work, but we're gonna have to get some patrols up into the mushroom area, because wherever they've been parking, we could be finding lunch sacks and lunch material. We could be getting garbage out in there, and we just haven't had a chance with our FPOs to do that, but maybe between 9 Mile and Superior we can team up and start looking before we get too much of a mess there.
That's a good reminder too. Our fire folks were looking at the 3 roads that we had temporary closures on in the Sunrise area because of hazard trees, and they're going to start felling those hazard trees I think next week too, so they'll be out in the area, at least another probably 20 or so folks with eyes on the ground, so
that'd be good.
Yeah.
And then another thing we're starting to, as we're getting out and about into some of our dispersed campsites, we are finding either long-term camps or abandoned camps. And one of the campgrounds, for instance, up Tamarack, folks just found an abandoned camper off of the pickup, and it's pretty torn up. And so be working with our law enforcement and to get those cleaned up. And we have discovered, and people are reporting, we have several dump sites that are starting to accumulate major trash, from sofas, old furniture to appliances, that sort of thing. And a pretty good sized one that we have is up where the old gravel pit used to be off of Coal Creek up here. And it's kind of tucked back in out of the way, so you don't see it unless you drive in there. And so when we have our district orientation day, we're going to try and shorten that a little bit and have a couple, 3 hours at least, or where we can get people in pickups and see if we can get those cleaned up, because they're going to continue to grow as we don't get them picked up. So we're hoping to make a district effort and where we have concentrated spots and get those cleaned up quickly. So that's about all that I know that's happening. A lot of moving wheels right now.
Yeah.
Once you get those cleaned up, Carol, can you do some kind of somewhat gating or something in there, or just try to prevent the people from coming in there?
I don't really think we could, because it's, we'd have to go through some kind of, it's quite an area in there where people can drive. And so we've been just taking a list of where people have been calling in as they get out, members of the public, if they find a large trash dump. So we're just taking a list, and when we have our orientation, try to take 2 or 3 hours and dispatch people to those various places and get that cleaned up and get it right out to the take it right out to the landfill or the transfer station.
Have you guys ever tried like using cameras or anything so that you can do better enforcement? Because the thing is, I know that a lot of people are the new laws, like for the appliances anyway, with the Freon, like you can't even take a refrigerator freezer into to the, what is it called now, not BFI, Republic, because they require you to have a certified appliance repairman drain off the Freon before they can accept it. And then when they accept it, they still charge you $25. So you got $25 to pay them, plus the 40 or 50 for the appliance guy to drain the Freon. So a lot of people who, you know, are poor anyway or whatever, they're just going to go find a spot like you're describing and get rid of it.
No, I guess we could if we find areas that become habitual dumping sites, but these seem to be kind of random, and you know, almost every spring after or this time of year we start finding them, and they're not always in the same places. But if we do find one that becomes a habitual dumping site, we probably would be putting up some kind of cameras to track it. But furniture and appliances seems, as well as some household garbage, but appliances for sure.
Yeah.
And that's probably the reason why Roman.
Carol, there was a land exchange between the Forest Service and MDT at Taft. Are you aware of that?
A land exchange between the Forest Service.
It's the, gosh, I got the thing down. There's this like 16-acre piece of land that is on the south side of the interstate, right there at the Taft. It's a strip, and it's got the old Highway 10. Have you been aware of anything going on in there about that?
No, I'm not. I would be interested though, because that's a critical spot.
It's good to know.
There's a deed that got presented, and we're like, I don't know if we can file this thing, because it was really strange. But good old MDT can. Hey, do you think you could grab that MDT deed and if it's over there and bring it down to us? Well, Stacy took it back, but if you can't find it, I guess you could print the whole thing. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I should have Candace bring it down. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that if I had to say where it is, it looks like it includes, and it's transferring it from MBT to the USA, which I'm presuming has to be Forest Service, but I'm sure that it's there. Goes right over the top of where they have their
The
sanding shack.
Where the big sand shed is?
That's strange.
I mean, by looking at it on the Cadastral map.
No, I haven't heard a thing, because that whole parking area there that the snowmobile people use in the wintertime, DOT has been very gracious about keeping that plowed. As soon as they have some time, they plow that, just so snowmobilers don't jam up there by their sand shed and get in the way, and that's been a real service to the recreation users. No, I would be very interested to know about that.
Well, we questioned whether it was a valid deed, but anyway, our examining land surveyor is like, MDT can do this, they can say, they basically can put pencil drawing on a piece of paper and file it. It's just drives you crazy. All they have to do is, they can simply use the legal description and work in the quarter application. But this is based on a set of plans and stuff like that. But we didn't have any parcel number, there's no referencing and stuff, but the whole section is owned by the Forest Service there, and the MDT right away is just out through the middle of it in that section 12. So. But anyway, we're obligated to take the deed, but I thought, who knows about what's going on with that thing and who's facilitating it.
No, I've not been contacted by, and Patrick that kind of deals with those has not, Patrick Bragan from the supervisor's office has not, and he's usually really good about letting us know if anything's coming into their office. And Robin Germain, our other realty specialist for the 3 districts, Plains, 9 Mile and Superior, she hasn't been contacted either that I know of.
Candace brings it down, but I'll just have to make a copy of it for you.
So, okay, I appreciate that.
Another thing, have you, Robin indicated that they finalized some work on the TV tower up there?
I just have to review the permit. She has it ready and it's ready to come your way for signature. Yep. She has that one ready. So any other questions for us?
When you were doing your Petty Creek burn, there was one in Missoula, what drainage was that at?
The sawmill.
Oh, that sawmill?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was kind of funny because, well, ours didn't put up a huge amount of smoke. They were more than that spruce type too. But I kind of wondered if we were going to get calls, but I think that stuck all the attention, for better or worse.
Yeah, people called on that one instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't figure that out. Somewhere up the Rattlesnake, as far as I could tell, but.
Yep, Sawmill Gulch. And I think I didn't see it because I was in Petty Creek, but I heard it put up quite a bit of smoke.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it looked almost like Lolo Peak Fire all over again.
Oh, man, yeah.
But probably because, like you said, there's so much snow in that higher, it was probably smoldering more than it was burning.
Yeah, it really was. It's kind of funny with the helitorch. You could see where they laid down the strip, and then it didn't go anywhere, so they'd be green, and then another little black strip. Oh, that's how it's supposed to happen.
So they're still gonna finish up on Chimney Rock there. There was another logging unit that I know when they burned the one across from the house, there was still snow on the other one, so.
They'll continue, they're still looking, Lori, at continuing just
As the weather permits.
weather permits and they get the units come into prescription, but they were able to finish the last of the toboggan units that they really needed to get burnt because they lose funding for those if they don't get them, those activity fuels, if they don't get them burnt within a certain amount of time period. So Jim was really pleased last week to they've gotten a lot of those completed, and most of the private landowners that were adjacent to those were really glad to see us get those completed just to provide that buffer next to their private ground.
So it's like a 3-set sheet they
I was going to ask you too, now that the road's been graded and
Over to-
it's spring, if you guys wanted to set up the time to go out and look at Clearwater Crossing, the bunkhouse.
They're over the
Yeah.
section
They're
line.
working on the
This is
interior right now. I
put
think they're
down-
putting up the
this is
lanes
past the
coatings, so
shack,
kind of
this
more
is
the final
going into
touches.
the
And then
Yep,
we got
yep,
the
where it comes
plans
under and
for
goes,
the
yep.
tool shed and the classroom portion,
So
so
anyway,
we might do the
that's-
foundation this
Okay,
year.
I'll take
But
those.
yeah,
This
I haven't
has
seen it
comments
for
Yeah.
since last
JB
fall,
on
so.
Yeah, I haven't been up.
Oh, from the
the survey.
survey.
She said
Been up there
she said a
for-
couple things in this
I
section.
think
So
the
there's a little
last time
extra.
I was up there.
Anyway,
Thank you very
Oh,
much,
I think it was
Jim.
probably when the hole in the wall when Kayla Holly got married was the
Oh,
last
funny.
time it was up there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a long time, so.
Yeah, it'd be a good time of year to do it, and
Yeah.
I was kind of waiting until we got the road graded too, because
Yeah.
it was really bad.
Yeah.
So,
So we're planning to attach the comments, not summary, but basically the comments to the CWPP. It's just going to be an annex to the plan and stuff. Next Friday, we're going to ask the commissioners to declare a 30-day comment period. I think that we're trying to get that in May so that if the commissioners are here June 29th, that would be the formal adoption of the CWPP.
oh, okay.
So, but, well, 30 days here. Appreciate Jim and Dewey because they've been faithful in getting here and provided their insight, and it was really helpful.
Good.
To get that moving,
That's exciting.
so,
What date is it?
The 29th?
Of June?
Yeah, that's when they're having that low forest update in Missoula.
so all the commissioners going to that.
That's when
That's the one with
AFRC usually
yeah.
has in
Me and
there.
Laura usually go to it.
Mhm.
It's all day, days like
So what, should we move our meeting to the 28th then?
Yeah, we could. Well, I have a hospital board meeting on the 28th, but that's at noon, so.
Noon?
I mean.
If it was a
even-
short
well,
day, if the meetings
Yeah,
were
we
in the
could
morning.
make it a short day, I guess.
You could leave and
so-
I could be around to sign stuff.
Yeah, because Dwayne wouldn't be here that day, but.
So we'll figure out a day that'll work then.
The only other thing I can think of to mention is there's been some concern from one of the homeowners in Verde Creek claiming that that lower portion of Verde Creek is a private road. And I've had a couple calls from local people that wanted to go up there looking for mushrooms, and they were turned around by the individual. And then Patrick Bridegam, our lands person at the supervisor's office, I think maybe he's had some calls too. So probably Patrick and I will be meeting with the homeowner. But at least our records show that the Forest Service has an easement on that road. And without having talked to the homeowner yet, I believe the homeowner is saying, well, that easement is for a specific use.
Hauling logs or whatever.
Yeah, not for
Regular.
allowing all other uses. And so we'll have to have Patrick or somebody really look at the easement, and we're gonna meet with the homeowner up there to see if we
Just
can
like him to put a gate across it.
take care of it. So that's
Oh,
an issue
that
there.
the Wheaton fellow?
Hmm.
Wheaton?
I know you have
No.
a recorded easement across Buchanan because we surveyed that. That's noted on the survey for Buchanan.
Okay, and I think what he was claiming, at least what I've heard, I haven't met with him yet, is that from where it leaves the paved county road there up to, I forget, .9 or point something was a private road, which our records don't show that.
That would be Buchanan's, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be
so-
going through Buchanan's there. So,
And there is a right or easement through there?
Yeah, we had,
Oh.
we found it and researched for the Buchanan plat. And Phelps did, they moving lines back and forth and then we did the subdivision, so we had to figure out that it was public right of way. We wanted to depict those and what the widths are in that because it made a difference on the property and the way the property.
So we'll be, I gotta get a hold of Patrick and we'll be scheduling a visit there. See if we can get that cleared up. Can't think of any other things to do there.
Do you guys want to try to pick a date to do a fill this out to Clearwater Crossing?
Sure.
Is there a certain day of the week that works better? And they can
Are you
choose?
looking like next couple weeks or,
Yeah, I think so.
let's see, I'm good Monday and Wednesday of next week, and then I'm good the following week. Don't have anything going.
Do you want to try for, how's May 31st? The Thursday?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll pencil that in and then work with Laura Johnson-Boudreau on like the logistics for that too. But
Do what?
work with my resources staff on logistics, like when we should
Oh.
get you and everything,
Okay.
how to ferry you out there, and what we'll do when we get out there, because that'll give her enough time to finish the wainscoting, hopefully. So I'm excited to see that too.
So you'll let us know what time and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a certain time that works better? I'm thinking kind of like mid-morning.
Mhm.
Okay. Send you a note.
And I guess we probably should schedule our next meeting here while we're looking at calendars.
Oh, yeah.
Would the 22nd work?
Works for us.
Mm-hmm.
My sister might be in town that week, or that weekend. But I could pencil it in.
Bring her down. Show her how much fun you have down there.
She sells.
And we can tell her some story. No.
Your sister.
What does she sells? What did you say?
Knives. So she does a lot of like gun shows and
Oh.
outdoor shows.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
Columbia River Knife and Tool. It's like
Oh.
a small CSK or CRKT. Yeah, company out of Portland.
So the knives are made in the USA?
Some of them,
Mhm.
but she does talk about the ones like the difference.
The
and-
steel, the difference in steel,
Yep,
where they come
yeah.
from.
But it's actually kind of cool. They have most of their designers are all in the U.S. too,
Mhm.
and they have their own little lines. It's kind of interesting. It's like a whole different world.
So she lives in Portland then?
Yeah, just
Uh-huh.
outside of Portland.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think that concludes what we know.
Nothing, I got nothing on my end.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, thank you guys.
thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. That's for the camera lady. I'm not normally big on order in the court, but. Okay, we're here at 10 o'clock and we've got the sheriff and the undersheriff and company here with the plan for a DUI task force. Who's the pitch man?
I guess
He's the big man.
I can't put it on him anymore. So at least this is the time. We didn't have to do this last year because if you recall, we had submitted a plan for a year and a half because there hadn't been an active task force. We submitted a plan at December 2016, and we did 17, the rest of 17, 18, and then 18.
This is 18, 19.
18, yeah, this one's
So it was
18,
16 and a half,
Six-
17.
Yeah, yes, that was it. 16, 17, 17, 18.
Yeah, we get away with a year and a half on that last one.
And so this is being submitted early because we need to have them to the state by June 1st. Fiscal year doesn't start till July, but that's a chance for Montana Department of Transportation to take a look at all the plans for all the task forces throughout the state. So not a lot of change as far as what our plan is, because we're just still continuing to carry out. I just updated the information that we had regarding the fatalities, the crashes, comparison as before, what the state issue is and problem, what the state crash rates are, and how Mineral County. Montana, unfortunately, according to statistics, still rates pretty high in the nation as far as the amount of DUIs and the deaths and crashes related to driving under the influence of alcohol and or drugs. One of the things that for us in the county that I think was a little bit more important, we take a look at what they call the Mineral County Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And in that I updated a little bit of the information, and if I may, I think one of the things that I think I really wanted to bring out, because we know that underage drinking in Montana is a problem. And in the survey here, or in the plan, I put something in here that I didn't have available at the last one, is that in 2013, the estimated cost just for underage drinking to the citizens of Montana was $252.6 million. That's just the underage youth drinking costs. And of course, I have in here the amount of 2012. There were 423 non-fatal traffic injuries and 9 traffic fatalities that were attributable to underage drinking.
That's just in Mineral County, or any of that stat? or-
That's the state.
Oh,
That's
okay.
for the state. But what I wanted to bring up was in the youth risk portion, which is on page 8 of the plan that I have there for you. So the 2017, so I used that one because that's the latest one that we had. In the middle school age group, approximately 10.2% had consumed 4 or more drinks of alcohol in a row, 1 or more days in the past 30 days. In other words, just prior to the survey, when that was taken. In the high school group, the percentage increased then to approximately 16.5%. And in addition to that, 4% of that high school group drove a vehicle one or more times after consuming alcohol. So we're seeing an increase in that underage group. But one of the big things here too, one of the middle and high school groups combined, approximately 45% had ridden in a vehicle driven by someone who had been drinking alcohol. And in the 30-day prior to the survey, in that same group, 58.6% had their first alcoholic drinks between the ages of 9 to 14. So of that middle school and high school group, between ages 9 to 14, they were starting to drink. And this is more than just sips of alcohol. So that's why we're targeting for the task force the things that we do for the schools and providing speakers, for the scholarships that we have, because the main thing in the scholarships that we provide, we give half of the amount of points to their academic record, their participation, school activities, but the other half has to do with the essay that they write. And I know, Laura, you were there because you were present. That is on their essay on what they're going to do to help offset that peer pressure group to drink underage. And so that's a big portion of how we score and give those scholarships.
I mean, the bad part is Mineral County has nothing to offer these kids. You know, I mean, everything, any functions in the county is adult-driven and drinking-driven. So, I mean, it's kind of a bad role model.
One of the things that we don't have, and this is, I also added in there in the survey, letting the state know that because Mineral County, I mean, we have nearly, 77 miles of interstate that bisects the county, running right down through it, is we have no way to separate the data as to people who are driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. How many are Montana or local residents versus how many are state residents? I made the point that Mineral County is the western gateway for the northwestern United States for the ingress-egress of traffic coming in and out of the state. That's a major impact for us. But anyway, so the biggest thing that we're just targeting is education. We do still have some funds in the very last page. You see what we have a breakout for the proposed budget. We still have some money available for the sheriff's office to help if we need for maybe an extra officer, an extra deputy for specific events, holidays, like, you know, for the fair, the high drinking activities,
baseball games.
Still looking at other ways to get funds. We still are getting at least a fairly decent amount of funds that are coming through for driver's license reinstatement fees. And as you may or may not know, the reinstatement fees that they pay, half goes to the state and half comes back to the county.
Yeah, it used to be $100, now it's $200.
Yeah, that really is.
So it's
Yeah.
100 to the state, 100 to the DUI task force.
So we, last year, in the past year, we received somewhere in the neighborhood of around $1,100. So I would expect that we're probably going to get that same amount during this next year. And of course, by law, the reason why I'm coming to you is that because under the statutes in Montana, the DUI task force comes under the jurisdiction of the county commissioners, and so this report prior to submission needs to be approved by you folks. If there's any questions, I can answer for you.
So in the budget you got here, there'll be about $1,500 allocated for the compliance checks, and then $1,250 for...
If we need to, we're putting that, and one of the things about the compliance checks is that we haven't done compliance checks. We wanted to do some during this last period, and I had budgeted some money for that in the last plan. The problem is getting the training. Right now, we have a lot of new law enforcement officers in the county. And so we need to get that specific training. I think Boone and I are probably the only ones here in the county that have been involved in the compliance checks that we used to do. Did you? Well, yeah.
I've done them in Lake County.
Yeah. So
I was
maybe
part
you
of the
did there.
task force there.
But we've been trying to get the training, and so getting the training for the folks has been the issue. I think we have things worked out to be able to get our underage kids that go in undercover and try to make the buys. And then we need to have observers who are not recognizable to the folks around here too. So we've got some of that arranged now. So the only thing we need to do is try to get the training for law enforcement officers on how to do that. At least if there's 3, but it's going to take a lot of the department to do that. So this compliance check money is to help pay for the overtime that's probably going to be incurred to do those compliance checks.
And then, so same kind of question on the, do you think that's enough money for the high visibility enforcement? That's going to be overtime there too, right? $12.50?
That's supplement, yeah. And that's up to the sheriff to kind of decide when we need to. I know that he's been using some of his regular budget or what, some of the federal monies that they received for drugs to be able to do that. What we're trying to do is, if we had a lot more money like some of the other counties do, then we could really afford to pay for a lot more.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we take a look at how much we have on board, if we spend all this money, we're looking at the end of the next fiscal year, approximately $13,500. But if we only get $1,100, that's not going to bring us up very much, so we don't want to use it all the time. I think our compliance checks is one of the things that we really, really want to target to get done this year. We may be able to, one of the things here that we have, we didn't even put it on there. That we used to pay for was the training for the RAS training, responsible alcohol servers, for the establishments. But a lot of that is being done now online. And Stephanie, who was part of the task force, she has been able to get some money from other places to help pay for that training. And she's the one that provides it locally here for us in Mineral County. So fortunately, we don't have to budget for that. But that's something that normally would come out of the task force budget.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve and sign the Mineral County DUI Task Force fiscal year 2019 DUI plan.
All right, I'll second it. The motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So he wants to sign both of these, or one of them?
That's actually just one. I need one. It's this one
Okay.
here that I'll be submitting to the state. And if you wouldn't mind if one of you would just put on for Wayne that not available, as long as there's 2 of you on there. Then.
18th.
I did this a little bit early because I know we're not submitted to the 30th, but in case you had some other things that you wanted to change, I had time to do that and then come back to see you one more time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If there's anything different comes up, let you folks know.
All right.
Anything particular do you think you would like to see added or something?
No? Okay.
So I know the state's real particular about the format that we use, so that's why it's in. They like graphs, so that's why you have graphs in there too.
All right, good seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. 10:30. Schedule A maintenance project agreement. So what, I guess we're kind of amending the Schedule A? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, for Packer Creek.
Adding a Forest Service.
Yeah. But Jason was in, stating that they wanted to put part of Packer Creek on the Schedule A maintenance agreement so that the Forest Service could do a project for that area
When they get the funding.
when they get the funding.
Yeah. So this will allow Nate to begin pursuing funding and putting it somewhere on his list to do on our Schedule A agreement. Well, no skin off our nose. Sounds like it needs it.
Yep.
All right. I'll move that we add to the Schedule A agreement with the Forest Service the Packer Creek Road project for Nate to pursue funding to try to complete that task on the agreement, maintenance of that road.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. On the agenda, should probably have the camera rolling already for all I know, but caught my whole conversation in the hall, it's on the video. The county fire warden vacancy position fulfillment request. So, I was reading this, and like you already pointed out, that basically we kind of have to alert our fire council and have them kind of do the recruiting and then give us a recommendation.
That's what it looks like it says in here,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah. And so just for fun, we think that our current county fire council is probably Temple.
Steve Temple, Jerry Doctor, what's the guy from Kurt Reike from,
No, he has a replacement, other fella.
oh,
That guy that has the dark hair and, what is his name? Is that,
oh, okay, yeah.
and then what, I guess the Frenchtown Fire Chief, Joe Calnan, as well?
Yep, and I think Jim Ward of the Forest Service is usually involved. I never stay for the fire council meetings, so I never know.
When do they have those usually?
It's right after the LAPC meeting
Oh,
on
okay.
Thursdays, so they always have the fire council meeting afterwards, so.
And they already had an LAPC this
Yep.
month, didn't they? So-
Mhm.
So what we had to do is what? Give them word so they can powwow on this next
Yep.
month?
And I guess each give a recommendation, I guess, and then we choose from those recommended.
Maybe we could get all their emails and then we could, all these people and whoever the West End guy is, and kind of alert them in advance that be advised, we are needing a fire warden at your next fire council meeting. Please discuss and have some candidates to recommend to us. So they're
And
not-
then we could put it on the agenda, and whoever is the chair of the fire council, I guess, then can bring recommendations, and
Mhm.
we can go from there, so.
Okay.
I'll contact Roger too and find out who all's on the fire council, so that
Okay.
we can.
And then after that, well, I guess they just put out their feelers. They don't necessarily have to put word out with an advertisement, huh? They just throw out some names of
Yeah.
people they think are qualified.
I'm assuming so.
Okay. All right, so I guess we have a plan, and is Did Roger's resignation say at the time he gave it, or did he give us a date? Is he gone
I
already?
think it was,
We'll look at it.
yeah, I think it was like the end of April or whenever he turned it in, so.
So, okay. Well, with all the flooding, luckily we have a little bit of time for a appointee to be made.
Okay.
Okay. No further discussion? Questions from the audience? We have administrative business, but we also have on the tail end, so people have to really read our agendas closely, something that says treasurer update regarding the Wells Fargo closure. And so since the one bank is closing, we invited another bank representative who's still open in town to be here with us and hear Mary's concerns and any suggestions or ideas, because what kind of hurdles are you facing right now, Mary, with this closure?
Well, Wells Fargo was offering to install in my office a check scanner so that I could run my checks through. But then I was concerned about cash, because we also get cash every day. And so then I went and talked to Donna if there was any options for cash. And she said we could open an account there, and then that would sweep over to Wells Fargo. So I'm starting to get some of the hurdles figured out, but Donna then called me back the next day, and she was concerned about the computer, feeling that it should be separate from our county computer, and Wells Fargo's would not fork for a computer, separate computer.
What do you use it? What do you mean? What's the computer for?
So I log on to Wells Fargo and get onto my CEO account.
Oh.
And then there is where I scan the checks.
Oh,
and have
gotcha.
a,
Okay.
Check or something in my, the
Mhm.
corporate side of the log on,
Gotcha.
online I use. But Donna had said that they use the same kind of thing, and for St. Regis, they didn't have enough bandwidth, and it was concerned about that. But I talked to our guys at DIS and said that we're fine on that. Then worried about if something breaks down with that, if it's gonna need some maintenance. They said that they would repair, replace if something went wrong with the scanner. Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo would maintain it, repair it.
Mm-hmm.
They said the biggest thing is to keep it clean. I guess there's little, I only know because I've seen them in at Wells Fargo, but they kind of spin them through. But there's some type of a reader in there that needs
There's
to.
sensors in there, there's wheels in there, they have to be cleaned, they have to be changed out. If you don't get a clear image, then you have to continually image to get a clear image. A lot of times it doesn't read the image, so you have to hand put everything in. And as I was telling Mary, it's a time-consuming process, and it might, in the end, she might have to hire an employee. So I don't know, as a taxpayer, how much savings you're going to get going that way. And as far as the computer, as I relayed to Mary, my concerns are you have everybody's personal data in her computer. If that computer gets hacked, or Wells Fargo needs to get in there to have an issue. One, they now have access to all your computer or your county documents. And if that gets hacked, then you are liable for everybody's accounts being out there as a county. So those are, we do ours through the Fed line. There's tons of firewalls that have to be set up to do that. I don't know if your IT, if you talk to them about that, but it's definitely a liability for you guys to consider before you go with that.
And then then when Donna and I talked again, she said that we could open an account and run our checks and our cash through her account or Trail West account, and then that would sweep over to Wells Fargo on a nightly basis. And a savings account even gains
A little bit of interest, not much, but.
So.
So, and then the other option of, if this is going to be problematic, just not using Wells Fargo for that, what's the downside to that?
It's okay, all three schools, all the county entities, I have
Mm.
10 accounts that would all have to be changed over, all new checks, all the ACHs, I'd probably get 50 of those in a month that I'll have to change. It certainly can be done, but it's an overwhelming process to change banks.
So these issues that you're facing, are they soon going to be the same issues that St. Regis School, Superior, and Alberton have as well? So they're all going to be equally motivated to find an alternative plan?
Well, it all comes through the treasurer. I'm
Right,
still
so
the
I mean,
keeper of-
what if they're having a meeting and they go, well, we can't change because the treasurer's on Wells Fargo, so we have to figure out, I mean, what I'm getting at is that if everyone's going to be in the same boat, if the only thing hindering them from all switching is the fact that someone else is worried the other one's not going to switch,
I don't believe we could have them in different banks. I think that would be even more.
that's what
of
I'm
a-
saying is that if this bank leaving Mineral County is going to present the same issues that the other schools are, they might all be wanting to change anyway. Right now you're saying, well, I can't really change because the schools are on the other one, it's going to be a problem, but what if they're thinking the same thing? Maybe they do want to change, but they're not doing it because they're worried that you're not changing.
I haven't asked them that. Nobody's
Yeah.
come forward saying
Because
they
I
would
mean,
like
if
to
this,
make a change.
because these sound like problems that St. Regis, they probably come down here and do the things with their checks and cash and all that too, don't they?
Comes through me. Comes
Oh,
through
okay.
me, and it's all into the same clearing account, or our
Mhm.
checking account 0935.
Mhm.
Everything goes through. And then for the ACHs and our deposits, we make into a separate account, a
Mhm.
different account. So that's kind of how things are going. I don't know, because even the schools send their money into my office, still gets an
Mhm.
80101, so it gets into our system, and then I make the deposit in the same
Mhm.
way as anybody else's check.
So basically, I guess you guys have to decide, are you gonna stay with a bank that no longer supports your community, or do you wanna switch to a bank that's here?
Are there any downsides to the big, large national chain versus in terms of insurance coverages on accounts, commercial accounts versus, you know?
No, we would be required to follow the same FDIC guidelines as Wells Fargo
Okay,
does.
so not necessarily a 250,000 minimum if you have a larger account.
We are required to match that with funds too, and I do that already for Mary. She gets a quarterly report from me showing the funds that we have backed up the St. Regis School CDs with.
Yep.
So, and I did talk to my CFO this morning, and he said he would be more than willing to come out next Friday and chat with you guys. He said, you know, he's very grateful for what you did for our bank, and he's more than willing to do everything he can do to make this process easy for you guys.
To switch everything over to Trail West.
Yeah.
And
if
not
that's
just
what-
to do, oh.
If that's what you decide to do,
I
yeah.
see. But nothing's gonna go down the line and you guys switch and.
And that's
Take
why
us-
he wants to come out and talk to
Okay,
the
I was gonna
commissioners
say-
directly. I did chat with him about that this morning, and he said, you
Which
know,
gentleman is this?
Alan Bradley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He does have an afternoon meeting next Friday, but he
Okay.
said if you could put him on first thing in the morning, he'd actually like to come out and talk to you.
And
And
if we did entertain him, I wonder if it might be a good idea to invite whoever the clerks or the superintendents of, or whoever you deal with, the schools, because
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
we'd all have to,
Should-
they
yeah.
probably have questions that we haven't thought of.
And as far as Mary goes, she's right. It's going to be overwhelming for her to change, and it's not going to be a fast process at all. But I'm more than willing to help with everything I can if you decide to go that way.
Well, the simple fix, I thought, would be this check scanner and doing the cash thing, but if there's gonna be all kinds of other things, you know, besides
Don't know, I have.
bandwidth and hackers and
Right.
security and,
Well, I've talked to 3 different people that have said that it's not a big deal and it runs smoothly. City of Cody, I talked to their financial officer that they do theirs checks through, and she said that it's an easy process. She likes doing it. The only thing she said that is back with the cleaning kit, make sure you keep those scanners clean. And and I kind of asked how many checks, and she said anywhere from 20 to 100 a day, which is pretty much in my range on most days. that it was only taking her 15 to 30 minutes, and that's about what it takes me daily to go up to the bank. So I didn't think it was that much difference in time. I just wouldn't have to leave the building.
Another thing you want to ask them, Mary, too, if that breaks down, what's their turnaround time to replace it? Because they do.
Oh, I'm assuming they would, yeah.
So this is not our typical scanner, it's a special scanner.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do we have available next Friday for times?
Anything besides the 9 o'clock?
And how long is that one?
An hour. So 10, 11, or 1.
Would 10 work for you?
Sure.
And then you'll get a hold of the schools.
Yep.
And then if there is someone else, Mary, you want to bring that knows more about the scanner, I mean, like you quoted Cody, but if there's someone that knows how much these scanners cost initially, and what their
So,
maintenance are.
since Wells Fargo is pulling out of Mineral County, they are going to give me the scanner for no charge.
Mhm.
They're gonna waive the $25 a month fee, and they said that they would do the maintenance on it. They just weren't willing to do a computer because they said that it's through that the CEO online account that I use anyway, that it wouldn't be, they didn't feel that there was some regard. But I do have that person's information, and I'll either get them on,
Speakerphone.
Yeah.
Or get somebody
And-
out here that,
They'd waive the $25 a month fee for how long?
they didn't give me a line, and I don't know if it'd be best to have
And then it was like
that
Dish
in
Network,
writing,
first 12 months, then it goes up
Yeah.
$100.
Right.
And that
would
with
be-
your scanner too, you want to verify that, if they're going to do this, that it's going to be something they're going to back up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to replace that. Probably
They-
not as often as we replace ours, but they will break down.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. They're all moving parts. But they said they would change my earnings credit rate increase from 0.35 to 0.45, which they felt would lower the amount that we pay every month, because we basically pay for every check, every ACH, every account,
How come they weren't
everything.
being this nice to us before?
I've been around and around on that fee, because we used to we would have a sweep account where we would get interest every day. And then, of course, when the rates went so low, it was costing more than the interest we were getting. So then we quit doing that, and from that point, and that's been probably 5 years ago, they've been raking us anywhere from $300 to $700 a month in fees. So they're gonna decrease that, but yeah, we've definitely,
So
Been paying
basically, we have business checking where St. Regis Schools, if they each open their own account. Our fees are, if you process 500 items per month, or less than 500 items per month, you have no service charge. If you go over 500 items, there's a $6 monthly maintenance fee, 7 cents per deposit items, 12 cents per check you write. But then we credit you back 20 cents for every average $100 collected balance. We're never going to credit you back more than what your service charges are, but they credit it back so that will help to wipe out your service charges. And say like St. Regis Schools, Superior Schools, I'm guessing they would never see a service charge, but I don't know, because I know at one time we had the St. Regis School stuff and they never had a service charge. And I printed that out. I can leave those for you, Mary. So.
Yep. So although it is a daunting task, and with the help of Dawn, I'm sure that we could make it work and switch over if that's the way you want to go. I mean, I didn't know
Well-
that was even an option, that they could handle as much volume as what.
So, yeah.
It
the
just
little-
might take us a while, but we would just work
Yeah.
together.
And-
If that's
and
what you decide
Maybe
to
you
do.
want to explain, because people probably don't fully understand what happened the first time when you guys were a small bank versus now. I think Mary might be thinking that, remember when we had to, you guys weren't big enough to take some of the assets we had?
So
But now, go ahead with the merger thing or whatever.
When we
occurred.
merged with Ravalli County Bank, we were at the time of the merger, we were a lower end bank, which, a community bank that was only required to do certain regulations through the FDIC. Well, when we merged, then just like with Mary, we have to back our loans up with our deposits. Well, at the time we merged, the time we took on their deposits, and what the county had a significant amount of money with us, we were over what FDIC would allow. So my CFO came to the commissioners and offered them a rate to take their money out and waive all the penalties and charges. So.
And now, since the merger is complete, you guys are considered more of a large bank.
Yep, now we
With-
moved up. I mean, there's
Right.
certain levels. We aren't first interstate yet, but
Yeah.
I think we are one of the 5th largest banks in the state of Montana, and Al can give you all the,
And so when she said, so that won't happen again, it's pretty unlikely
yeah.
anything like that will
Yeah.
happen again.
We're not going away. Someday I hope to retire, but
We all hope that someday. Some days I wonder if that's ever gonna happen, but
Yeah, I gotta put remodel in my house, Dwayne says, so.
I'm just waiting for you to get that swimming pool back up and running.
You and my grandkids both. So did you guys have any questions for me?
I'm sure there'll be a lot more next
Yeah,
go around with all this, with the schools come, and then
yeah.
if people have more questions on this, what'd you call it, a CFO computer? And
well, my,
So it's like a login there, is that what it is?
yeah, I log in online and that's where I would do the scanning, so it's not actually, it's as secure as what I do every day when I check our balances, and if I have to wire money or all that all goes to that same online account. And it's different than just a personal online, it has
Yeah.
all the information. I've got a key fob, so I back that up, so like even if somebody else got on there, they can't gain the same information that I have without that.
Okay. So it's next Friday, 10 o'clock?
Okay,
Very good. Well, thanks for coming over.
you bet. Thank you. You guys have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too.